morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Friday, February 21st, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Friday everyone. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame. Inside day right now, as the previous session's price had a fairly decent sized range here, bounced back to close and finish the day right at the midpoint of the day's session. When that series of events happen, there can tend to be an inside day that develops early in the next session here with some range-bound price action, fading the edges here, still within the developing range for the week as well. That's Friday's range here. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now Friday gives us a compressed 5-day reading here. And that 5 days is starting to really show the potential for energy built up and an expansive move to come. So right here, 45% of ADR, that's your reading on that 5-day compression. Normally you'd be somewhere double that, 125 points. On a 125% basis, 157 points. So there's some big time potential here building for the next move out of the ES. As I've mentioned before, to be up here near the highs here on its third test at these highs, very important zone of the chart here. Can we get a breakout and continuation, or do we see some sort of failed breakout attempt that leads to a snapback back down within the range? How's that playing out as we move forward? We have a 5-day compression here, enough energy for at least 150 points of range once we do get that break. And 150 points of range, not bad. I mean, that a breakthrough 6100, that would take you right to 5950. That's 100 points of range, 150 points of range on that compression. So it lines up really nicely if we did fall back into previous support. So again, keeping an eye on this range. We'll see which way we go here. But for today, currently inside day, narrow range price action, 25% of ADR today, just 14.25 points of range, and the expectation here is for some fades back and forth as it trades within the developing 5-day compression. Looking at the NQ, similar price action here, a little bit of a bounce back day here today. The previous session here showing a bounce back off the lows, still a 5-day compression overall. You can see the reading right there, 48% of ADR, 368 points of range. Normally you'd have somewhere closer to 700. If we're going for the 125 expansion target, that's 864. So closing in on 900 points of potential range on a breakout from this range here. Now we did see a little bounce off the lows, and the expectation was for a potential up day, a bounce back day within the range here. But still staying mostly within the range, not anticipating full-on expansion out of this range at any point here ahead of the weekend. But we could see at least the beginning of a move out of the range heading into the weekend. So we'll see how it goes. Of course, any failure to hold the day's midpoint on the daily closing basis could be an indication already of failure to come. Looking at crude oil, crude right now down 0.7%. And this one right now trading about 77% of ADR, pulling back within the previous multi-day range. You got about 3-day range right here we've been trading within, and then you have a multi-week range from 70 to 74 as this thing continues to trade around CVPOC, which has shifted downward from 78s to 71s. We could continue to see that stuck in the mud type of price action here, fading at the edges, but still with an overall downward bias. So to be holding on this side of the downward channel here at some point here, the expectation would be for a push back towards 70 over the next 1 to 2 days. So failure to hold that 71.5 and you're dropping into 70. After that, we may see a bounce back and continue the pattern with a downward bias toward that 67 or even as low as 66 down below. Looking at gold futures, down 0.5% right now. A little bit of a pullback, but still maintaining the overall uptrending structure of this market. We're getting closer and closer to 3,000. Yesterday, this thing put a new all-time high, 2973.4. That means we're 26, 27 points off from reaching that 3,000 target. The bullish Pima trigger zone continues to be intact, and any pullback could still be a short-term buying opportunity. 3,000 doesn't necessarily have to be the high. It's just the measured target that we had from the compression before. We could certainly see a little bit more upside out of that range, and by ways of market structure here, 3080 could be that target. 3080, 3080 based on 200-point distributions. All right, let's take a look here at the YM. The YM showing some weakness here prior to the RTH open behind UNH news. UNH, a Dow component, getting crushed this morning as the DOJ investigates their billing practices. We have this thing here dropping in sympathy, and this one currently disconnected from the ES and the YM on that news. We are heading into major support, 44,000, big time support. You can see it all across the way here, and that's going to be the level to watch. We could drop into 44,000, but watching for signs of this thing bouncing back up within the range. A failure here, and you start to open up the downward targets here, 43 and 42,000 below. Looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin up about 0.8% right now. A little bit of a bounce here after finding prices below 94K, now all the way back toward 99.5. This thing continues to stay in this range here, which is slightly enveloping open now. We have an expanding range at these lows. Still a failure to really break down, a failure to rally. Still stuck in the mud here, still stuck in the 20,000 point range overall, which is better than some other markets like Ethereum, which is really marked lower. So not bad here. In order for this thing to really kind of switch it up and get bullish, you got to take out 100K. Taking out 100K puts you in the upper 10,000 portion of this range, and failure to get through 100K, and you're stuck in this lower 10,000 here. So 10,000 a key level, 100K rather is the key level to continue to watch. Looking at Ethereum, this one's up 3% right now, 3%, and it's currently attacking the tail event of this large sell-off here. That was a 3-day move, really 2 days from the Monday high into Tuesday's close. This thing is turning through that midpoint here, has pushed through the 8-period average and working through the tail event right now, back above 2,800 as we speak. So that's a pretty decent bounce after this thing had everything it needed to really get another flush in, and that still may occur as this thing is still stuck within the range right now. But this is an up move within the range. Do we get another down here, or is this an opportunity for this thing to break and rotate higher? So still stuck in the range, building a tremendous amount of energy here in ETH and BTC. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the weekend. Happy Friday. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.